Good evening, and I'm really, really delighted to take this session on managing relationships with parents. This is our fourth live session for the cohort 2, and the topic is managing relationships with parents. So good evening, Julian, good evening, Antonia. Others will join us, and we just go from there. So if you're a school administrator, a school owner, a teacher, or anybody at all who works in a school, you will know how important managing relationships with parents is. As a matter of fact, they can make or mar your school. I've worked in a school where the parents were so supportive and we achieved so much. I've also taken over a school as an administrator where they had issues with parents. And from my first day, they almost fought me in the office because of things I carried over from a previous administrator. So when I talk about managing parents, that's not something to ignore at all in a school. You could teach really great, you could do a lot of things, but as a school administrator, if you're not able to carry parents along and manage their relationship in a way that they, you harness their potential, to work for the school instead of using all their energy against it, then you're going to run into problems. Some people will tell you, well, so long they are paying fees, I don't have a problem, but it doesn't stop at just paying fees. There's a whole lot you have to do as an administrator, a school owner, or a manager to manage how you relate, how your school relates with parents. And also do it in a professional way. And know when you do not become too chummy that they take advantage of you. So you have to know this balance very well. So I'm going to start sharing my slides right away. And we will see what we have this evening. Can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me change this to slideshow so that we have it really bold. Yeah. All right, so here we are. So managing relationships with parents, okay? We'll look at what parental involvement is, why it's important, what usually constitutes barriers to parental involvement in schools, and various parent school initiatives and partnerships that you can bring about in your school and all that, okay? So parents shape school success. It's very true. So if the parents just come and dump their kids on you, and don't care about anything. You invite them to parent conferences, they don't come. Invite them to open days, they don't come. They don't even know what classes their children are. You're not going to have a good time. Even if they pay fees and that's just the basics, pay fees and then just dump their kids on you, you're still going to struggle as a school. Okay, so parental involvement shapes how schools succeed, the level of involvement of the parents. And I'm not talking about pampering parents to the point where they dictate to you everything that you do in a school, but you must know how to professionally relate with parents in a way that your school succeeds with their input. Okay, I'm sure you've already met me, so I don't need to go much into this. So let's discuss now. What has been your experience in managing parents in the schools you have been, whether as a teacher or a school owner, as a school administrator? Let's hear you. Julian, any school where you've worked, what has been your experience in managing the parents there? Julian, okay.
Okay. Well, I would say the classes I handled, I think I did okay. There's only once, okay, I think I made a mistake. I just came out up front and said something negative about the child, and the parent never forgot that even till I left. Well,
Wow.
so far, I think as soon as I straightened, as soon as I straightened it out, most parents actually wanted to know the progress of their children, and they wanted to know if I was able to handle their children to the level they wanted. Some people wanted the children, Nigerian parents want teachers to do magic. What is beyond a child's age level. They want you to do what if the child should be doing when he or she is 4 years old. But I think I was able to manage it, because during some of the open days that we had, when parents were asked about complaints, and they were like, oh, fantastic, that why must we always be complaining, that what I did was exceptional, that they had their money's worth. So I believe I've been able to do a good job. I still see some of the parents, and they try to ask me at the side to teach their children, their 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds, and give them extra lessons. And till now, even when I bump into them at supermarket, so I think I was able to deliver and capture their hearts.
Okay, great. So what has been your experience, Antonia?
Well, it's been good. It's been good with some ups and downs here and there. But basically, what I have understood from all of the experiences, that a lot of the parents don't seem to understand the vision that we have. So a lot of them are still in their times, the way they were taught. That's how they want things to be done. So I think basically that's what I've experienced with parents. But most times when you explain to them, when you invite them, speak with them, and let them understand why things are different, while it's taking a longer time for us to get where they want us to get to in one day, I think sometimes they appreciate it.
Okay, that's great. At least there's communication between you and them to explain what your vision is about and why you do things the way that you do in your school and not the way every other school does it.
Okay. Mrs. Nancy, okay, Antonia, are you done?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, I also noticed that the problem I had with the school I was working with, they seem to take every parent's suggestion without trying to tell parents what. In fact, what I was saying, the problem I had with that school was, in fact, parents were literally dictating what teachers should be teaching, but only that I had to stand my ground on, because I already knew what each child should be teaching at a certain age. But there was just so much pressure on the school, and they were letting parents shove them aside, tell them what they should be teaching. And it was, to be honest, it was actually weighing down a lot of some of the teachers. That's what I actually noticed with them and managing parents. They don't let us, they don't tell teachers to speak with the parents and relieve their maybe just lessen their fears on what we are delivering. What we're doing is the right thing for the right age. So that's the problem I had even with some schools. They allow parents dictate. I think that's also a problem I saw with the last school I was in.
Okay, I'm listening. Thank you so much. We'll discuss all of this actually. Okay, so Temitope, let's hear you. How has your experience been with managing parents?
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The experience has been so good. Let me put it that way. But with what Tonya just said now, I had the other opposite experience, because the school I work with, they actually gave teachers liberty to talk with parents, to the extent that some of the teachers talk too much.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. It was because we had an issue that was very, very, it was somehow, because the teacher let loose of some of the school's information that are not meant for parents, all in the name that because the teachers, they have access to parents at any time, instead of parents calling the administrator for anything that has to do with class or anything, they go straight to the teachers. They have their contacts. So it's some of them, some issues were not okay. But all by and large, personally, I have been having a good experience with teachers. I mean, with parents, let me put it that way. Yes, I don't have any negative experience with any parent so far. It has been good, and I've been
Okay,
learning
thank
along.
you. Sorry, I'm having a little power issue here. I need to check what's going on at the hotel. Why the light is not coming on. Oh, okay. I hope this doesn't trip off. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm going to just go on. So successful parental involvement refers to active ongoing participation of parents or primary caregivers in the education of their children. You know, there are some schools where the school is so eager to just bring in students that they don't even care what the parents do. They tolerate basically everything so that the parents can stay. I don't know if you've worked in such a school environment, you know. So the thing is to involve them actively,
Yes, ma'am.
but with clear boundaries. They must have outlines, they must have terms of reference, how to go about their engagement with you. Okay. So first, let's also look at why parental involvement is important. Have you ever imagined a school where parents are not involved? All they do is just drive their school kids in, drop them, pay fees, and that is it. You know, you're not going to get much out of such a school. You maximize a student's a parents' involvement so that their children do well in school. In fact, research shows that kids whose parents are involved in school actually settle in better in schools, and they also perform better, and they are more connected with the school than the ones whose parents just drop them and go home without caring or giving a hoot what happens after that, you know. So parents are an integral part of the school as much as the children are the number one stakeholders in a school. Of course, without the parents, they won't even have the children, and they take the decisions really whether to bring their kids to your school or not. And after bringing their kids to your school, they can take the decision to take them away. And depending on how you handle the relationships, you know, with all these parents, that a lot of things can go right or go wrong. Okay, they are usually your first and most successful mode of publicity and marketing for school growth. So it matters how you treat them. But it also matters that you draw boundaries, which we are going to discuss. Okay? It matters that you treat them well, and it matters that you draw boundaries as well. So no school can adequately succeed without the financial involvement of the parents. And by financial involvement, I mean prompt payment of school fees, okay, and then other little obligations that the school might have aside from the fees. So parents of diverse professions can contribute immensely to school projects when there's a need to do so. I'm going to go back to this issue of financial involvement. On my last job, we had a little over 1,000 students. And when I took over, I inherited debts running into millions of naira, you know. Oh, I think the light is back now. Thank God, I was getting worried. Oh, sorry. This country is really a tough place, to be honest with. So we had a debt of over several millions. I don't want to mention the amount. And then I took over as the administrator. And when I saw how much parents were owing, I was really, really so sad. I was like, how could you have let parents owe this much? And they said they were trying to manage the relationship with them. I'm just trying to see how some people take managing relationship, you know, with no clear boundaries. And they were just trying to manage relationship with these parents. They didn't want to hurt them. They didn't want to chase their kids out of school. And some graduated and left without paying the money. Took their exams, paid for the external exams, but did not pay school fees. You know, so what I did was I now started by first trying to reach out to these people, especially the ones whose kids had not graduated. And of course, by then, the results were not sent to them yet. The external exams, of course, they will still have to come for testimonials and other things. So I began to reach out to them. And luckily, I was able to recoup part of the money, a few millions out of it. And the rest I knew had either left the school or done one thing. We had to write that off. But what I'm trying to say is, you can see that the reason they gave me was that they were trying to manage relationship with parents, but that's not how to manage it. because they are from the get-go. Every parent should know that the moment they're admitted into their kids admitted into your school, they have financial obligations towards the school in terms of school fees, uniforms, books, and every other expenses that the school requires of them. And so I could not understand how people would owe from beginning of the term to the end, enjoy all the services, take exams, and then just go away happily without caring how the school was surviving. Now, that's not proper partnership. From the moment parents come, one of the things you must do is to even find out whether these parents can afford your fees. Can they afford the fees? From the point of admission, if a parent starts begging to pay to break the fees into 3 or 4, when the child is newly admitted, that should start sending signals to you that you might have a problem with this particular parent. So any parent who cannot pay the fees conveniently at the beginning is most likely going to give you a headache, and you have to start marking them. Okay? So, and another thing is that you could have a financial plan, a payment plan, a fee payment plan where they can sign, but not for new intakes. I usually do not encourage that for new intakes. And that was one of the things I introduced that helped parents to pay. By the time I had stayed there for a year, we had 100% fee collection, which had never happened in the school. The highest I had ever had was 86. When I took over the first term, we didn't achieve 100 since I was new and they were already used to their old ways. We just tried to manage the situation, and then I came up with the rules and terms of engagement and how I wanted things to be with the parents. Initially, they kicked back and were really angry. By second term, they saw that I was adamant, I was sweet about it, but I won't budge. They began to line up. By third term, we had 100% fee collection at the end of the term. And so the financial involvement of parents is very important, and you must know how to manage it. If you're very familiar with all the groups on the Facebook group, all these education related groups, a lot of the complaints from school owners is that parents do not pay. And what I usually respond to such people is that it all depends on how you start with them. And so from the time I took over, we're now achieving, the least we achieved was 99.98. I still remember before I left. And that was the record. That was because there was even a parent who had to relocate with the children at some point. And so we couldn't get all of the fees because they were on a fee payment plan, and halfway they had to leave for Canada or something. But every parent knew that, look, you had to pay fees before resumption. And if you could not do it in the first week of resumption, then you had to come and see the administrator to have a fee payment plan arranged. And in that fee payment plan, I will tell you the terms. This is the least you're going to pay. This is how much, if you want to break it into 3, you pay this on this date. And then before, as the midterm ends, and we're just starting, because that's the time they get very tricky. After midterm, we're sorry, it's already late, and we might have to send your child back home if the fees are not paid, and you should be very, very nice but stern about it. Okay, so financial involvement, very important, and you must know how to manage it. Then you have parents of diverse professions who can contribute immensely to school projects when there's a need to do so. Some of the parents you see have various talents. I've worked in a school where a parent was actually an event manager. And when we had big school events, she came in really handy and had to do a lot for us. I remember the concept for one school, a Christmas concept that we had. She just came up and said, Miss Nancy, what are we doing for Christmas this year? Have you thought about an African themed kind of Christmas? And I said, that's fine. But how are we going to do it? How are we going to decorate the hall? It's going to cost us a lot. And she came up with an idea. She said to me, Miss Nancy, write to all the staff to bring wrapper materials, whether it's sewn or, the ones, all these women that have 2 wrappers or had fabrics at home, and we'll be very careful not to mess them up. And we just, use them to decorate the hall. The ones who had things, before we knew it, people were bringing their wrappers, wax, Hollandaise, all sorts. And we had varieties and assorted, and we were able to really come up with something that made the Christmas really unique. But that came from a parent. And then she came in also to work with the team to give them tips on planning events in a very professional way. And when she stepped in to start helping, our events took a different turn. That was a parent offering professional service. and we didn't have to pay. So amongst the parents in your school, there are some who have talent, who have skills that they can actually contribute to your school and save you costs. Some might ask for a token, maybe just to cover a few expenses they may need to incur while doing it, or they might just offer pure services without even, charging you for it. There was also a time we wanted to have an international day, and we had to present a dance from Lebanon and several countries. And then I remember that there was a parent who was actually Lebanese and had just relocated to Nigeria. And she was looking for ways to offer her services. I didn't even know. So one day I just said, I just asked the daughter, I said, I would like to see your mom when she comes to pick you. She stopped by my office and I said, the kids are going to present a Lebanese dance. And honestly, I don't want them to just do it from YouTube. Do you know anyone they can do? And she was so excited. She said, Miss Nancy, I'm a dancer. I'm a professional dancer. I'll come. And she was so happy. She took over the whole project, happily organized and did everything, trained the kids, they rehearsed it. And it turned out so beautifully. And we didn't pay. All we did was send a thank you note and a card, to her. And she was happy to do it. So amongst your parents, you see some that have skills and professions and talents that they can contribute to your school. But if you do not reach out to them or even get to establish a relationship with them, you really might not know what they can offer, So most parents like to have a say in things that go on in their children's schools. That's the truth. The other thing is you need to teach them boundaries while they do this so that they do not entirely take over the school, okay? Especially the women, I don't know why. It's always the women that get so actively involved. I don't know if it's the same in your school, but most schools where I have worked, you see that it's the women who will always, always, always be there. Sometimes the men too, but most of the time, the women. Now, some disgruntled parents can actually bring down an entire school if you don't handle them properly. I've been in a school where, if one particular parent got angry and was almost going to just cause a whole lot of problems because she brought in so many students to that school and she felt entitled to a lot of things, and her views must be heard, her opinions must be listened to. And I think something happened. She wanted us to give a discount, a huge discount to a parent who had 5 children. What do they call kids? Is it quintry? What do we call kids that come in 5s? There's a name, quint, right?
Quintuplets.
Quintuplets. So she wanted them to have a discount, which was not in our policy. And I did all I could to push that with the board. And the board said no, that they had for kids who were triplets, kids who were like 3 or 4 from the same family, but nothing for kids a family that had 5. She wanted maybe the last 2 or so not to pay anything because when she was marketing the school to them, to the family, she made a promise that the school didn't know about. And so I had to call her and have a meeting with her. We settled it. And then I wrote to the parents involved that we're sorry, they still had to pay the fees for the 4th child. We could give a discount on the 5th, at my own discretion, but the board did not approve that the 5th child should not pay any fees at all. So they were really upset, and she went around gathering people against the school and saying how much she had done. But I had to find a nice way to just make her happy. I paid from my own pocket for the child's uniform, just to make her happy and to know that, look, this relationship is on and we're happy that you're bringing people. But I cannot go against what the board says. I'm also an employee, like any other person here, except that I have the whole group of schools. So you must always find out ways, parents who are disgruntled, especially the ones who are really happy with you about what you do, but suddenly something happens and they want to bring the roof down. You must have a way of, handling them so that you're able to maintain the relationship. And then sometimes we do not know that there are barriers to effectively engaging parents in the school. Do you know that there are some parents who are just very private or who feel insecure or who do not even know what they should be doing because they were never told. And we assume that they know what to do, but are not doing it. So we're going to look at some of these barriers. Sometimes school staff often perceive that parents do not want to get involved, and that's not really the case. It might be that they are very busy and you need to find a way not to keep them too long when you have meetings, okay? It might also be that they do not even know how to get involved because when they were in school, their parents were probably not as involved, and so they do not understand what parental involvement means. So at the point when their children get admitted into your school as your students, you must let the parents know what your expectations are from them. In this school, we expect all parents to attend parent-teacher conferences. We expect them to be at the open days. We expect them to attend PTA meetings. We expect them to do this. You let them know ahead of time. And if possible, do reminders always, maybe send text messages, let them know. If you have, I remember for World Book Day, I used to have various projects where we bring in parents to come and read to their children. We had the Grandpa's Day, Grandma's Day, where they could come in and read. And all of these things really excited the parents, So some parents are hesitant to get involved because they do not have extra time to spare. Believe me, some are really busy, especially in a place like Lagos, where with all the traffic and issues, it's very hard to get parents involved. But the good thing is some of these meetings can be virtual now, and then you just try and keep to time so that, you get their opinions on the things that you want to do. Language barriers might also pose a hindrance to parental involvement. I've seen parents who had to relocate from other countries and join one or two schools where I was an administrator. Maybe they spoke Spanish or French, and they didn't quite feel a sense of belonging or couldn't air their views openly because the language was actually a barrier. And for such people, as soon as I was able to connect them with other people on the team who could either speak their language or had lived in their country, they felt so at home and they knew them just ignite and they were so excited and happy. And then the level of education of parents may pose an issue with involvement in schools. I've also been a school administrator in a school where, these girls who get married to men in Italy, but they're not exactly very educated. Maybe they had to leave Nigeria for one thing or the other to work in Italy, and then they met some nice workers there, some guys there, and got married, and then they're back. And the men can afford elite schools, but it doesn't mean that the women have actually really polished themselves up or done so much. And then they get to school and say, oh, everybody's this, everybody's schooled in the UK, everybody had their first degree in one school or the other, and they begin to feel intimidated by the level of education or level of exposure of the other parents. So it's your place to identify such people and try to make them feel at home and let them know that their opinions also matter. And it's not, they have as much right in the school as every other parent because they are fee-paying parents like the others. Okay, so let's look at how partnership between this home and school work actually. How does it work? One of the things we must always do is to see parents as partners, first of all. Some schools think parents are really a headache, but I've worked in schools where they were so nice. I'm telling you. I remember a school where the school bus, a brand new bus, was actually bought by a parent single-handedly. And then a generator, really mighty one. These ones for, organizations, big ones, not the small gens, was also bought by two parents who sat down and just, came together and contributed money to do it. And then the volleyball court also was fixed by parents. So the partnership with them should be such that they're able to identify the needs that the school has, and then you are also able to identify the needs that they have and ensure that you meet them. Okay. So there must be a deliberate cultivation of the relationship between the school and parents, and it should start from the school, from the kind of signals you send when they come for admission to let them know that, look, this is a family school, and we encourage parental involvement as much as possible. These are the various things you can do. You can be in the PTA. There was even a school where we had a parents' choir. Once in a term or so, they used to just come and have a rehearsal together or organize a picnic. I remember once we all went swimming, parents and the teachers and all of that. So anything that you can do deliberately to cultivate that relationship between parents and the school, such that they see you as partners in progress. They see you as a school that they want to contribute to, not the one they're always complaining about. That would really help. And one of the ways you can achieve this is always by communication. A lot has to do with how you communicate your vision I like what Tonya said about communicating her vision to the parent, the vision of her school to the parents. From the time that they come, you let them know this is a school that is very family oriented. We like to have the parents around. We like to have them at our events. We like to hear from them, the things we are doing right and the things we are not doing right, and communication is a two-way thing. So encourage them also to always give feedback about how you're doing. That could be through surveys, okay, and even the surveys, you could have a little reward for people who complete surveys, because sometimes even get parents to do that is such a big issue. So send information to parents regularly and receive feedback from them as well as regularly as you can. Teach both teachers and parents, and play an active role in teaching the parents a variety of ways they can get involved. Very important. Don't assume that they know how to get involved. I can't tell you how excited parents were to come and read to the children, especially the younger ones. Would buy masks for them. They would just come and mask up and then enter the class, read to the kids and have the kids guess whose parent came that day to read. And the kids would just shout, Chinoso's daddy or Chinoso's mom. It was always very exciting. We take pictures, we put that in our newsletters, and encourage other parents to do the same as well. We've also had parents come in to even volunteer to teach in the school, yes. And they will teach for a day. Maybe someone is going on maternity leave and the person standing in for the person is also leaving. We write to the parents that today, maybe by next week, the person is able to apply on time. We let them know next week, maybe on Thursday, we'll need a parent to volunteer to, just come in and do this or that in the school. And so some of them who were maybe not working, like the full-time housewives, they were always eager to just step in to do one or two things to help. Okay, so connect learning at home and at school. For some assignments the children will have, you will always see that there's something the parents need to do with them, especially in the early years. And then in the primary, they will need, of course, quite some supervision to get some of those things done. So always connect learning at home and school. I worked in an American school. You know how you'd have your textbook, you have the workbook, and then all of that. And then the teacher's copy. We also had parents' copies for some books. And it was so interesting because that was the first school where I actually saw that books came with a parent's copy, where the activities expected of the parents were actually outlined. And so the parents knew would photocopy their page and send along with the homework that the kids were doing. And it was such a great bond between the school and the parents, okay? And then learn to personalize your strategies, because what works in one school may not necessarily work for another school. There are some strategies I used when I headed the American school, and they did not work when I was trying to head a school that we implemented a purely Nigerian curriculum. Their attitude and the mindsets of the parents were totally different from the other ones. So I had to find strategies that also worked in each of the schools where I was. So you have to study the kind of parents that you have. What really works? What can we do here? What will work exactly here that might not work in another place? How do they like to do things? What kind of events do they like to attend? How do we make our events? Do we make them outdoors? Do we make them indoors? Do we have a garden where they can stay? Or do we even take this meeting out of the school environment? I remember once I had to start a proud, blah, blah, that's the name of the school. I don't want to mention it. Proud school dads, okay, the dads. And we started a club for the parents, the dads, because we saw that the mothers were very involved, but we were not having enough of the males, of the presence of the men, the parents, the daddies. And so we started a Proud Daddies Club. And we were not meeting in the school. We actually were meeting at a sports club. So we made T-shirts for them. It was like a prestige thing. They would all come dressed, once every Saturday in their T-shirts, and we'll have a meeting. And it was from there that they decided to fix the volleyball courts for the school and do one or two things, because they just felt honored to know that we set out time to, we had a strategy to get the parents in, the men who were not getting involved. So you should always look at your parents and know what works for them Are they the elite kind of parents who want, everything to be really tush? And so you can think of how to get them. Are they the kind of parents that are very easy to mobilize? You always have to think of things that can work for them. So build a strong community and identity. I remember also starting a community service, actually, where we got parents in to come in and exercise, and then also invite other parents who were not even members of, or who didn't have kids in the school. And that gives them access to the school. They would just come in, and we got a coach, we'll have fitness, sessions, and we had 1 or 2 community services where we washed cars. And it was so exciting, We did projects together, cleaning of the environment, doing 1 or 2 things, and it was really nice. So that helps to form a bond, with the parents. So collaboration can be done beyond the school. Some of them may be working in banks. I remember one parent who was a member of the manager at Zenith Bank. When we had our sports day, she was very proud to tell us that she could donate school bags that were from their Zenith branch, where they had outreaches to schools and to some other projects they were involved in. And so they brought quite a number of the clocks and school bags, water bottles, and donated to the school, only that they were branded. And so we announced that this donation came from Zenith Bank, and they were part of the gifts that we gave out at the sports day to kids who who did well in one thing or the other. Then with local businesses, non-governmental organizations, federal and state government establishment, and private companies, you might see parents who work in these places and can actually bring in 1 or 2 things for you. Okay. So let's look at some parent-school partnerships and initiatives. So first, a parent-school partnership refers to a collaboration between a school and the parents with the aim of fulfilling the vision of the school. The hopes and desires of the parents, as well as the development and progress of the children. The emphasis is always on the progress of the children. And parent-school partnerships refer to initiatives hosted and engineered by the school that needs the cooperation of the parents in order to succeed. And we really do need them in a whole lot of ways. Okay, I already mentioned financial involvement of parents. That could also involve outside of the school fees. Even for sports day, I've had parents donate items. I remember a lady once, a military lady who had a child in my school, and we just wrote to them that we were going to have sports day, we needed donations. Instead of donating my money, she just said she was going to make the trophies. And she got someone, she said, oh, when do you need them? She made so many, and we used them for that year and even kept some in the store. That was a financial commitment because she had to pay for it, even though she didn't give us the money in cash. So they might be involved outside of school fees. They could be involved with sponsoring 1 or 2 items, 1 or 2 events or things that happen. For example, the Christmas concert in one of the schools where I was actually the responsibility of the PTA. They decided to take it on, and every year they would sponsor the PTA and then give gifts to all the children. So the school didn't spend anything on that. At the end of the year also, they used to have like a luncheon for all the staff, and then give an end of school year gift. I still have 1 or 2 of the gifts they gave me then. So those are like commitments from parents. Okay, then they may also be involved with developing the socio-emotional issues of children. Some of these issues, of course, we've heard about 1 or 2 things that have been happening lately in schools. So issues like that, you need parental involvement, okay, to really manage even the behavior of the children. Times when I have invited parents and I've said, oh, I'm sorry, your child is not behaving too well and I need to have a meeting to discuss a way forward. The parents who came, we always had better results with their children than the ones who were nonchalant, okay? So it's very important to get them involved. There are some parents, some kids who, at the mention of their parents' name, they just behave. I had a child once, Alex. Alex was so rude and everybody was getting worried. I had to call the mom. I said, we've done what we know to do. You're his mom. Is there anything we can do to help this boy maybe get better or behave? And she said, Alex is very scared of the dad. Just just tell him they're going to invite daddy to the school to put the fear of God in him. The moment you use that term, you will see that he'll behave. So this very morning, he wanted to throw tantrums and do all of it, and he was reported to me. So I just called him and I said, hey, we're bringing daddy in. I just called your mom. We're bringing dad in tomorrow morning. So you'll meet us in the principal's office. We'll have a meeting with your dad. And he said, no, please, Miss Nancy, don't bring my dad. Bring mommy instead. And as soon as I called the dad, honestly, from that day until I left that school, that boy behaved well. He just hated the embarrassment of having his dad leave everything to come to school, just because he wasn't behaving well. So there's always a way out when you relate with parents. You can find out a lot about their children, a lot of information that will come in very handy in the way that you handle them, okay? Even on decision making on programs in the school, you can get their opinion. You'll be surprised how much they have to offer, actually. So these are some of the initiatives that you may be involved with parents. You may have parents involved with parent-teacher conferences. Every parent should be able to come in to find out how their kids are behaving. And by parent-teacher conferences, I'm not talking about the open day. The parent-teacher conference is a meeting, one-on-one meeting between the parent and the teacher. And this is when you have a slot. You might have them sign for the time slot of maybe just 10 minutes or 15 each to discuss about the progress of their children with the teacher, with their class teacher, which may involve their academic performance, their behavior, what the school is doing to help them, and then a way forward, and what the home, what you expect them to do from home. This works very well. So parent-teacher conferences, and that should happen every term. Every term you must have your parent-teacher conferences. In every school where I taught or where I worked, we always had parent-teacher conferences. I think some people confuse that with the open day. The open day is very different from the parent-teacher conferences. The parent-teacher conference is a one-on-one meeting with the parent. Okay, this is Amina's teacher, and then the mom comes in, the dad comes in, they sign maybe to have 15 minutes one-on-one. On those days, you might not have lessons going on. They may come with their kids to that meeting, or they may not. It's just to get feedback one-on-one and also ask questions, how your child is behaving. Are they behaving well? Are they doing their homework? How are they performing? What can the parents do? Then the open day is really an open day. You're opening your doors to everybody, okay? The entire community there. Everybody who wants to come in to see what you do as a school, maybe to come and shop, to have a tour of the school, to have a look at what you do. You can even display some of your work, the students' work, and then talk to them why they should come to your school, and the ones who are already there, why they should stay back. It's like boasting about your school, showcasing what you do. That's very different from parent-teacher conferences, which is specifically for those who are already there. Okay, and then you can have your fun day of bazaar. You can have your fun day. You can mute Julian. There's a lot of noise coming from you. Julian? Okay. Okay, so you can have the fun day or your bazaar. You can have a Christmas concert. You might want to develop a strong alumni association. You can have a career building talk day. You can have the graduation and awards assembly or prize giving day. You can have the sports day, the meet the teacher day, tea parties. I'm very particular about tea parties usually to welcome new parents. So when parents come to your school, just like you have an induction for your staff, you have an induction for the students to welcome them. You should also have an induction for the team, for the parents. And at this induction, that's when even though you have sent them materials about your school, the school parent-teacher handbook, you have sent them your rules and regulation, you have sent them what your school is about, the history. That's the day you now take them through all of these things and be sure that they have read it. So in a very nice way, it doesn't cost much. You can even buy all these cheap biscuits. and just have tea, packs of Lipton, sugar, milk, and that's it. We find space. I used to have what we call tea with the administrator or coffee with the administrator, whatever you want to call it. And they would just come in a very relaxed way. I welcome them to the school community, introduce some of the staff, especially the management team. I always tell them that they will always get to meet their teachers. Of course, at the open day, we also introduce the teachers to everybody, talk about their qualification and all that. But at the tea party, I now go in there to talk about our vision in a very passionate way, what I expect from them, the parental involvement. And really, it doesn't cost much, believe me. You can just make buns, it could be pancakes, it could be just biscuits, a pack or two, one pack for each person, have tea. That's all. Just have your coffee, have a pack of tea here and there, milk, sugar, water. You have a nice room. That's it. Then they get a chance to ask you questions. Okay, what they expect. Even though you know what the expectations are from the forms they fill, there may be things they want to tell you about their children, about why they left where they were, what exactly it is that they expect here. Oh, okay. So all of that. So you have the tea party, and that's it. You work at at it. And I've found out that every parent who attends the tea party, they always feel warmly welcome in the school environment. It works so well. Every school we have introduced this, we had more parental involvement because they just felt, oh, this is so nice. And then to go on further, I always tell them at the tea party, please expect to hear from us about your child. And what we do is that when the child resumes work, after 2 weeks, we give a settling in report. And that settling in report says what the child what class they've joined, what classes they've joined, what club, how they are settling in, what we have noticed about them, the positives. We always start with the positives and the areas they're struggling with, what we're doing as a school, and then what the teachers are doing and what we expect them to do from home. So all those are things they get to know at the tea party. We tell them our unique things we do and, really hype our school, that we look forward to having them. Sometimes I remember in school, we even had a disco. We used to have a disco or a dinner once every year. So after we welcome them at the tea party, usually sometime in the school year, we organize like a party. I remember once we had a disco, real disco with disco lights, everything. We come and dance, boogie with the parents. And the parents loved it so much, we just dance, create memories together. The next year, we might decide to have a dinner instead. Everybody comes in their tuxedos, really well dressed in their evening dresses, and we'll have a nice time. The next one, we might decide to just go Afro, do something crazy. Everybody comes in all those wild, crazy afros with the bell bottoms, and we just do our thing with those big shoes, those shoes they wore in the 60s. We'll do, we just have fun. Or we could have community services together, let's think of what to do. Can we have a bake sale? Can we have this? Can we do that? And it was always very exciting. Believe me, you can form a community around your school, such that even when the kids graduate from your school, the parents want to just keep in touch because of the memories that they've had, while their kids were with you, okay? So the meet the teacher evening, some people join this with the open day. So they will have the open day where they address everybody, and then they will now disperse into the classes for the new people to go and meet the teachers in each class, where they will now tell them what exactly the rules are in this class. This is always at the beginning of the school year. Remember, the open day is always at the beginning of the school year, or just as the school year is resuming. The new school year is starting. So you get to meet the teacher. The teacher tells you all the rules in the class, what they expect, the homework policy, how many times you should expect homework from them, what to expect from your child as the time they're leaving that class in terms of their academic performance, their reading ability, all of the details that they need one-on-one, with the teacher. Then in some schools, the teacher welfare is the responsibility. It's also a parent-school initiative. So the parents initiate that. I mentioned where they used to bring in gifts at the end of the school year, to give, because they were just happy with what they were getting. Then the parent appreciation day, you might want to introduce that. I've done that in one school where parents were always bringing in introducing new students to the school. We had certificates to just, like an assembly where we recognize them. We call them friends of the school. We had mugs printed for, mugged with a thank you and a school logo. And it could even be just pens, little things. And parents like, no matter how big parents are, that a mug, and even a water bottle like this with the school's logo can make them just grin. If we want all these old people, just a mug, it makes them happy. People like freebies, people like gifts, people like to be appreciated. And so if you have a teacher appreciation day, you might almost also want to have a parent appreciation day, where you decide the things you want to appreciate them for. It could be parents who pay school fees before resumption. Okay, some people pay for the whole school year. School starts in September. By August, some parents have paid for the whole school year. It makes administration easier for you. So for such people, you might want to do a thank you note to them, give them a mug, celebrate them in assembly. And the ones who keep inviting people in, the ones who protect your image as a school, or who just come up with different ideas or initiatives, or are always there, whose kids have never missed school, who are always punctual. You celebrate them. Some schools have bought school buses. Some parents have bought school buses for schools. And then also in some schools, International Day is handled by parents. Okay, you might also want to give discounts to them on the use of your facilities. Like if your school facility is used for maybe wedding receptions, birthday parties, you could decide, that if you have kids in this school, you pay a different fee, okay? Or if your school has any other thing affiliated to it. For example, I've worked in a school that had an event planning organization, okay, where we had a rental. And so they could actually come and hire a hall, have all the nice seats, everything done at a very discounted rate, so long they had their kids in the school, or there were referrals from or they gave referrals to family or friends. So they had, discounts on things. Some schools also have a cooperative society for parents, maybe for school fees or whatever, different things that can come up. But you have to be careful about parents bringing money to cooperative. You have to make sure they are properly registered and things are done, and the school does not carry any liability from there in case somebody runs away. Make it a parent thing. Don't get too involved. Make sure it's parents handling it amongst themselves. And some schools have a school talk shop where it is actually run by the parents. And then the proceeds are used also to help the school, okay? So for everything that you do, please ensure that there's a policy framework that guides the procedure and scope of whatever partnership you have with the parents. If you have a parent-teacher association, parent-teacher organization, friends of the school, or whatever you call it, make sure that there's a guideline for how it will operate. How long will the exco stay? Because some schools, once they have exco, the exco will now stay forever and take over the school and be dictating to parents and dictating to the whole school what they should do. Decide, maybe for example, that no exco will exceed 2 years. And in the exco, there must be a representative of the school, such as maybe someone on the management team, and then maybe a teacher. So it's a mix of both teachers and parents, so that you can also influence what goes on there. Make sure there's a guideline for how they operate. What is their scope and what are the boundaries, so that nobody comes to you tomorrow and says, we want you to change the curriculum from Nigeria to British. We want you to change from British to American. In fact, change the school vision. We're not doing it again. No, You have to let them know what the guidelines are, what their scope is, what their boundaries are. They don't have a right to come and start asking you, how much are you paying your teachers? Please, we want to see the salary schedule. No, please. They have their guideline. They're involved in making recommendations. They can bring complaints. They can make recommendations for how schools should move forward. They can support so projects. Exco must not stay beyond 2 years. Never let any PTA expo stay beyond 2 years. In fact, they can do 1 year tenure and just finish and achieve whatever and have another set, the better for you. The longer they stay there, the more power they start usurping, and then they want to take over your school. So always make sure, even those who are elected should be people who are like, friends of the school and who have the best interest of the school at heart, not the ones who come and cause problems and start causing a whole lot of issues for you. So make sure parents have an input in the development of the policies, but also make sure that you have the final say in those things. Remember, especially in private schools, you must always have the control how you do things, but let them have a say in it. And then, but don't sound like you're imposing everything, but always nicely have the final say in the things that go on. So ensure that you have clear-cut responsibilities for everybody in the exco. What is the responsibility of the financial, maybe the financial person, of the secretary of this and this, who reports to who, and make sure their minutes are properly kept, okay? Ensure that there are teacher representatives in the PTO, a parent-teacher organization, parent-teacher association, or parent-teachers forum, or whatever you call it in your school. And in addition, there's something I do in schools. We call them parent representatives. So if you have year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, in each of these classes, we have someone who is like a friend of the school that we call the parent representative. We also recognize them apart from those in the PTA, so that they function also as part of the PTA. And their role is actually to, when we are about taking decisions in the school, we get these people involved, but you make sure there are people who are very enthusiastic about the progress of the school. So you run things by them, you let them know this is what we're introducing, but we need you to push it to the people in your class, okay? So that we can all flow along with what's going on. And it really worked for me in one of the schools where I was an administrator. So I used to have meetings with those parent representatives. They're like class reps. You know how you have class reps in the university, So they disseminate it. Even though we'll give information to everyone, they're the ones whose opinions will be strong to say, oh, but the school has a right to increase fees now. They've not increased fees for 5 years and things are tight, things are days, So they have a way of pushing our agenda to these people. So every class, so if you have A, B, C, in each of those classes, you have, let's say you have year 1 strawberry, year 1 rose, year 1 lily. Each of those classes will have a parent representative. The reason being that you want a strong voice who will be speaking for you also behind, because there's a lot of things that go on in the grapevine, usually among parents. And so you need them to be on the same page with you and have people who are pushing things behind the scene for you and selling your agenda to them as much as you are doing too, okay? So there are several things you can do. The idea really is to make sure you buy the trust of the parents in a way that they work with you and they are happy, okay? So even the times when things are not so rosy, you'll always have the ones who are faithful and who stick by you and are able to calm down others when you have issues. But it all starts from how you introduce them to your school. They must know your vision. They must know what you stand for. And please deliver on your promise so that you buy their trust. And when you do, you'll see that they want to go the extra mile for you. All of these things I've said, some parents did in some of the schools I've worked. They did because we went the extra mile for them. Most parents these days are not really like that because the economy is tough. And so they're just managing to pay fees and do things. But if you impress them, believe me, they can do a lot. I remember once a parent traveled and ordered, I can't remember how many heaps of pencils for the store. I was so toyed, really great quality pencils from the UK. A whole almost truckload of like, what? All these pencils. And they said they just, they noticed that in their children's school, the pencils were always breaking, the ones we were giving them. And we had a whole lot of the supplies for more than a term. We didn't buy pencils. We just had an excess of it even for the whole school. So there are parents like that, but it all depends on how well you're able to treat them, how you introduce them to what you do, how hard you work on your vision to convince them that you're delivering on your promise, how happy they are with you. And if they are, believe me, they will go the extra mile for you. And like I said, always define boundaries. The boundaries must be clearly defined, or else you're going to run into problems. If not, they'll come and take over the whole school from you and start dictating to you what to do. So in as much as you're sweet and nice and you carry them along, always make sure that there's a guideline for how you behave and treat them well, hear their complaints. I have another course where I have another topic on school customer service. That one will go in depth into customer service, but this is just managing partnerships with parents and getting them to work with you as a school for your success and not to tear you down. And should you have cliques of parents, sometimes that happens a lot on WhatsApp groups. So before you start your WhatsApp group, please be sure you are on good, you people are relating very well. Some of those WhatsApp groups can really cause problems. They will now start having everybody's number and going behind to chat and do all sorts of things. And you have to be very careful. So before you can decide what mode of communication works best for your school. In schools where I've worked, I didn't do WhatsApp, believe me. I did emails. Even the newsletters were sent via emails. And then we also did the printed ones, those days when paper was, but now I would not encourage that. I think emails should be highly encouraged. So you could do that. Or if you have WhatsApp platforms, you might want to just make it like for announcements. The danger with WhatsApp platforms is that everybody's number gets exposed. And before you know it, some troublesome parents who are just gone to one or two things will start chatting others. You will think that they are just there in the group quiet. You will not know a whole lot of things going on behind the scene. So those are things you need to consider. But communication must be ongoing. Never leave parents wondering what you're doing. Okay, don't just sit down and say, I expect them to pay. Do a reminder. Send them a slip at the end of the school year. This is what your kid will be paying in the next term. This is what is that. If you're introducing any new thing, always let them know ahead of time. And I forgot to mention something. There's something I actually introduced in one of the schools for the first time. It's called the Parent Seminar Series. If you notice areas where the parents have issues, you can just organize seminars. I would have like workshops with, workshop materials, everything. For example, all these issues about 21st century parenting, you've heard about what happened in one of the schools that the kids went to Dubai. Issues like that will now come in with how we can, work with the kids with technology so that we monitor what they do. We bring in a specialist to come and talk to them, how you can, on your phone, monitor everything your child does. So things that will be helpful to them, even personal finance management. They had to bring someone in to do that, to teach on parenting skills, to teach on tech skills, becoming a 21st century parent, how to handle technology, issues they should know about child protection, how to talk to your children about sex education, all those kind of things that you would ordinarily think the parents know. So you might want to even have a forum, a proper forum where you have real seminars, just the way you train your teachers. You have times for your parents and you do that. Even now that I've left, the schools I introduced that in, they still do it. And sometimes I call to know that, to find out how it's going. And it's been very helpful to the parents. So you might want to consider that as well. Okay, I think we've spent an hour now, a little over an hour. I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to now discuss and ask questions. So in conclusion, parents are the most important in a child's education, and your school can reap large dividends by capitalizing on their support. But then you have to know how to manage them. And if you don't, believe me, parents can be a real headache if you don't know how to manage them. They can come in and cause they can give you sleepless nights, but you just need to know tact and the skill and how it works with them. Okay, so let's take questions. Sonia, any questions? Who is asking the first question? Let me talk where. Nobody's saying anything.
Okay, for me, I don't have any question. In fact, literally, before I started this program, I literally came in empty. In fact, so I came ready to just absorb, because I don't have any idea how school is run. And I knew that some of the schools I was in, there were a lot of flaws. And I was like, if this is how school is, I don't want to do school. In fact, I have the wrong impression about parents. I've been having sleepless nights. I want to have my own school. I keep asking myself, what do I do with these parents? Parents are difficult. In fact, I saw that in the other school where I was, and I don't think the other school knew how to manage parents. In fact, they were having to bend towards parents. So for me, I think this class, that what we just had today, for me was like, it just is a blessing because I've learned so much. You've made me see how to handle parents. I think I have less sleepless nights now. I think it's now I have more ideas on how to be more innovative. I like the way you handled that we should study with parents.
Mm-hmm.
If they are elites, know what you can do at a little level to make them feel like they're part of the school. Do like very touche activities. I also like that activity where you said you call parents in, let them wear a mask, let them read to the children, and they know whose parent, and they guess whose parents. So I think parents, now I know that parents want to be carried along, but they just don't know how to get involved. So some of them can become problematic because they don't know how to express themselves, that they want to be involved. And I think this class made me see that. So I think it's amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize at the tea party, let me just tell you what that tea party does. It just breaks their defenses. That's what I've noticed. Since I introduced that in schools, I've noticed that all the parents who go through that my tea party, we talk informally, chat, get to know them, a bit details about them that will just help you connect the dots, It helps a lot. It really, really does. So I encourage that a lot in schools. Just have an informal welcome kind of thing for the parents, just like you have an induction for the staff and the students. So don't leave out the parents, because a lot of times we just assume that they know what to do. There's a lot of the frustration and why they come shouting is that they've never even had any induction. They don't know what to do. And you let them know the boundaries, that please, we don't encourage our teachers, parents to come and shout at the teachers. We do not tolerate that here. This is a channel to lay your complaints. Of course, you would have sent emails, but at that party, that tea party, you just emphasize it. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. So even just 30 minutes, one hour of a tea party, just make sure you have, even if you're having a presentation, don't make it too formal. It could just be, like I used to have it in the room where I used to train teachers. They would just come in, we'll bring the caterers, bring hot water, bring coffee, bring this. And we just have a very informal thing. And it makes them feel so welcome. I let them know just 1 hour out of your day, please, just so that we welcome you nicely. And then they get to meet other parents. And then they will start, you hear them saying things, we knew, they already told us that they were going to welcome us like this. The other school we came from, nobody did this. You start hearing things and how excited they are. And the idea is to deposit in their emotional bank account something positive towards you at the beginning. So when they now have complaints, they will have the confidence to walk up to you as the administrator to complain. But if they don't have that interaction, you see that when there's a problem, they won't know where to go. They will just do about anything or how they were handling it in the former place. So it's very important that you welcome them nicely. Okay, there's a comment from Julian Hayes. He says, I think it's right to say by now that this program is worth every penny. Oh, thank you so much. So much knowledge impacted, a lot of required info. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. So do we have any other comments or questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, I have a question. I have a question now based on what. Okay, so there was a parent in the school I was who she was literally, I don't know, she's a housewife, so to speak. And they will invite her to school to get involved with her child.
Mhm.
And she was never involved. She literally dumps the child.
On you people. She dumped the
Yes.
child on you
And
people.
yeah, well, the child was in my class,
Okay.
and the child will always be distracted. I almost thought maybe he was autistic. The
Okay.
child was distracted, and I felt maybe the child kind of sensed that the mother wasn't involved or felt left out, because everyone will pick their words, and that child will still be left in school.
Wow.
Until later on, I had to start going home late. I started bonding with the child. The child that was not even interested in what we were doing. We would shout, he wouldn't listen. I started staying home late, taking him around the school. We would play with water. We would play everything he wants to do as a child. And then he started getting happy to be in school. So I met this woman later on at the supermarket, and the woman has been begging me, "Are you coming back?" And I'm worried, to be honest. As much as I made an impact in her life or in her child's life, she saw that I was interested in her child. I worry about such parents. How do you handle such parents? I don't want anybody dumping their child on me. Or you give a time, come and pick your children, your ward by 2. She can come by 4. And hey, what are you people doing? She just lazily talks, not making any input. That's why people are not teaching. People should just take care of my child. Just feed, she's not even talking on an intellectual level about her child. So I'm wondering, what do you do with parents? Do you let them go if one of your policies collaborate? One of your maybe your mission statement is mission.
Okay.
One of your missions is collaboration. So what do you do to such parents?
Okay, first, at the point when a child is admitted into your school, I mentioned that you should have the student parent handbook where you outline all your policies and what is allowed, what is not allowed. For late pickup, you should have a fine. The reason being that if you do not fine parents for late pickup, they will just dump their kids on you. You won't believe once a school administrator told me that a parent forgot to come and pick her child because she was watching a Nigerian movie, her favorite movie, and she couldn't stop it halfway. And I was like, what? So you have a fine. You fine parents for late pickup. And that money is shared between the school and the parent and the teacher who does the supervision. The reason is that you want the teachers to go back relaxed and refreshed to prepare for the next day. But if they're always stressed and staying every day, such things could even make teachers resign. If they always have to supervise kids long after school is over and they do not even have time for their own self-care, then there is a problem. And the moment parents see that, when they see that there's a lapse there, they'll keep taking advantage of you. So the thing is to have a fee, a late pickup fee. So once that time comes, you mark the time. For the first 30 minutes, this is what you pay. For this, that, this is what you pay. And at the end of the day, they pay to the accountant and the money is shared among those who do the supervision, and then a little part of it goes to the school. So once they see that you're serious, when they see you're serious with the fine, they'll stop.
So what about the collaboration, the parent not getting involved with the child and you're saying, oh, this is what we're doing in school, this is where we are academically, and the parent is just not interested?
You see, that's one of the reasons I started the webinar, the parent seminars. Some parents don't even know. They don't know what role to play. You'll be very surprised. Forget about all the makeup and makeover and how well some of them look. They are really very shallow. And so don't judge them. Don't judge them by how they look. It's about how well they know what to do. So when you see such a gap, that parent seminar takes care of it. These are things you should teach them. So invite them over.
Miss Nancy, please, may I comment?
Okay, please.
Okay, so I want to go Julian's path.
Okay.
So, I personally have had such issues, and then I had to come up with this parent seminar. So, timely, we have the parent seminar, tell them this are what we expect. We won't even teach them how to do homework.
Yes.
But the truth about it is, it's the same group of parents who are interested, the few ones who are interested, who will come for every seminar. There are some who just believe that I've paid the fees. They're not interested. And for me, it bothers me a lot. Because from where I'm coming from, I actually, parents got involved. When my children were growing up, I got involved in their school, so involved I was even PTA secretary, and my children were happy. And, when you try to build that community, get parents to come in, it's not okay, not even coming in. Okay, just help your child. It's a big problem. I don't know how you have managed it in the bigger schools, but for the smaller schools, it's a big problem. I don't also, okay, maybe where you have worked, but I don't know where Julian lives, but where I live, it's a big problem, my dear. A lot of parents are just not interested.
But for such, you might need to arrange one-on-one meetings with some of those parents. Have you tried calling them one-on-one?
Yes, when you call them one-on-one, they'll tell you, yeah, they will come. Yes, this. Some of them, that they're not even as busy as, I don't know. There's this thing about parents, just like you mentioned that movie. I found out that there are a lot of things that interest parents, not this thing we're talking about, their children's future. Just the way they dump their children at home on house helps, they just feel, please, that's another burden taken off me. Let me go and watch my movies. Let me live my life. I don't know. In fact, I've even spoken with a friend that this term, please, let's exchange. Well, in church, we call it exchange of pulpits. Yeah. Come to my school. Let me go to your school and try to talk to parents about these things. But you find out that even when you arrange such things, it's the same group of parents who are interested, who will come. The people you're targeting will not come. Online meetings, they will not show up. Face-to-face meetings, they will not show up. So how do you manage such situations?
Have you tried having these parent representatives? I mentioned parent representatives who, before such meetings are held, the parent representatives will keep reminding as they come, they, see you there, see you on Friday at that training. Try to hype things using the parent representatives.
Well, I haven't tried that.
We tried it and it worked for us. It worked in one of the schools where I worked. Just knowing that they are, like making them, that fear of losing out, right? Fear of missing out. And so everybody's talking about what they learned, they even at PTAs, those who are attending all those things will come and share how it's useful, how it has changed this and that and that. The rest will be wondering and they'll look silly. So it just hype the ones that are working,
Okay, let me give you one of the examples of this particular parent. Because the parent likes me, I'm even scared. I'm even thinking when I start my school, I'll tell her I don't have a school. I'm even scared. This woman, we invited her over, and we're talking about her son. She said, my son doesn't even sleep. My child always stays at work till 1 o'clock. And he has 2 tabs. You're saying one thing, she's saying another thing. He has 2 tabs. In fact, he can count by himself. He never does assignment. Never does assignment. She's not involved at all. She said she's tired of her son and she doesn't know what to do. That she's even asking me, what do I do? I don't see. Some parents at what point do you say, in fact, because me, I think if I own a school, at least money something, I don't want to carry load. There was even a time I saw this boy trying to maybe he watches his parents do stuff.
Okay.
I saw him literally practicalizing it on one of the children in the class. So you don't even know when to what to even address, because even the little one is do her assignment, she's not even doing. Sometimes it's tiring. For me, I don't know if I should say after that time I told him, Ma, I don't think this school is okay for you. Maybe you should consider. I don't know. At what point do you say tell a parent? Because it's true. Later on, they'll put you on Christland's matter. Before there are the types that will say the school made their child rotten, whereas they are the ones that are making their children. No, honestly, I've been thinking about it. I said, at what point do we say, Madam, I don't think my school is okay for you. I think let's end
Honestly,
it. You can give me a
you'll always meet such parents actually in every school. But what you do is to work to make sure that they are in the barest minority. You keep working to increase the numbers of those who are involved. Yeah, there will never be a period of time you have 100% fee, 100% involvement from. Why is this like just fluctuating? I'm so scared we get a trip off. I don't understand.
Sorry, Miss Nancy, can I say something?
Okay.
One of the schools that I've worked, we do this parent partnership conferences.
Okay.
Just like the way you have explained it, is one-on-one thing where we allotted the time to parents to come one-on-one and strictly with the teacher. So in case of those parents that are not active or they are not participating in their children affairs, that's the period we talk to them. As a matter of fact, it's not the teacher that meets such parents, it's admin.
Okay.
With facts, the child's homework books, the ones the child did not do, because the teacher will keep writing, not done, homework not done, homework not done. So we open all those things for them to see that this is not encouraging.
Okay.
And then another thing is that at the beginning of each term, we send each target home, each class target. So during that partnership conference, we tell the parent that your child is lagging behind. He's not up to the particular thing. So we're able to iron it. Then from there, we drafted the action plan that both the teachers and both the school and the parent will be involved. And it's worked well.
Yeah, it does. Parent-teacher conferences always work. From my experience over the years, they've always been very productive. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Julian, you'll expect such people in your school, but just work to make sure that they are the minimal, that the barest minimum number of parents are like that. But you have the majority, you see that they will influence.
How do you?
One of the things, constantly educating them.
One would coin your form to catch those kind of people so you can know them.
And the thing is, you see, if a parent is not involved, always document such interactions. Though you were invited to so day, you didn't turn up. Make sure it's in the child's file, because those are the people that will come and fight you that their child didn't pass exams or didn't do this. Then when they see that it's impacting on their child's performance, they will line up eventually. But make sure you keep documents of all those invites or interactions that you have with them.
Okay.
Actually, Nigerian parents, they like dumping responsibilities on others. I've noticed that, and it could be very frustrating. But what you do is not to accept full responsibility for their actions. Always get them involved as much as you can. Get them involved. Keep inviting them, keep records of everything that goes on. If you invite them to meetings, they don't come, make sure it's in their child's file. If it means even writing a special note to their child's progress report, to their child's progress report, like you know that this child will do better with parental involvement and all that. Always document everything. Always document it. At some point, they will line up. They will. Any other questions? It's 1 hour, 30 minutes now. So we're gonna call it a day. Any other questions we can discuss on the platform? Plus, the platform is not only for announcements, we discuss issues there as well. And I'm still looking forward to all the other assignments. This particular one has no assignment. I haven't seen the assignment for 1 or 2 of you. I've seen the rest and I've responded. I don't know, Gideon has never attended this training and I've reached out to him. I'm just wondering, or perhaps he'll join the next cohort. All right, thank you so much for your time and see you on Saturday. Yes, I'll send the Calendly to you, my booking app, so that you can book for your sessions for next week. Okay. I think Tuesday is a public holiday. I'm training on Tuesday, but Monday, who knows? We can have almost everybody. Is Monday okay to have your one-on-one? Is anybody free for Monday? I'm actually free on Monday, and it'd be nice to take as many as I can on Monday. I'll be flying back to.
I'm sorry, I may not be free on Monday. I have a training.
Okay, so sometime during the week. Sometime during the week will be fine. So just book and then I'll confirm the time once you let me know when you're available. I'm sure you have. I sent that via your email, the Calendly booking app. So please check that mail and just use it to book. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Now, please don't forget to send in cohort 1 administrative audit.
I will. I'll send that right after this. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good night, ma'am.
Yeah.